Hello, my name is Jonathan Lane, and welcome to our first instructional video from Global String Alliance. This video is about playing posture and the importance of playing posture. As a strings teacher, I think it's job one. In the musical elements, we have a long list, but tone is a very high priority, and posture affects tone. There are many other videos you can find online for setting up posture of instruments. This one, I think, is unique in the sense we're going to do all four instruments, and these are the ways I would do it for the individual or in the group string class. So violin, viola, cello, and bass will be dealt with in one series here. Let me introduce to you the lovely Lillian. She is normally on the other side of this camera. And here she is, and she really looks quite lovely. However, this outfit is going to be difficult to fit a string player to. First off, the hair. Shoulder rest and violin will not work with the hair. The long earrings won't work. The skirt will not work well for a cello. And her shoes, she is wearing heels today, will not be appropriate for working with cellos or basses. Thank you, Lillian. While Lillian is changing clothes into something more appropriate for instruction, I would like to share with you the importance of a shoulder rest. Here I have a large selection, supplied here by Casey's Strings, of a variety of shoulder rests. There are many. There's a sponge, there's something a coon. I'm a fan of the Mach 1. The advantage of going to a shop where there's a multiple choice of shoulder rests may be beneficial to setting up a student. The violin sits in a fulcrum space that has to be filled. And so when I put the shoulder rest on, I can help fill that space. Without the shoulder rest, there's this large gap. Some people will use a sponge. Smaller children won't need much of a shoulder rest, and a sponge might work for them. As Lillian returns, we will fit her to a violin. As Lillian returns, we'll notice the outfit she was wearing is much more appropriate for us. The hair is off the shoulders, she's got pants, we got a lot of space here. So Lillian has not ever been fitted to a violin. We're going to take a chance and see how we can make this happen. So I'm going to put on a shoulder rest for her. Now I'm going to model myself what we're going to do, and then we're going to see if she can do it. So I'm going to turn this way, and I'm just going to turn my head this way to my left, set it over my shoulder, and then I'm going to raise my chin, and I'm going to do it like this. Now I'm not going to let her use her left hand. I'm going to set it in there myself. So here we go. Just raise your chin and drop your chin in. Okay, now that's a little loose. She doesn't feel all that comfortable with it. Let's try it again, because I'll try different shoulder rests. So let's set it again. Now that actually looks pretty good to me. All right, thank you. We're going to try it again now with a little different shoulder rest so that she feels more comfortable, and some different angles.
Yay!
Turn this way a little bit so you can see the angle there, and now she'll open up the other way. Notice she can smile and do this without using her left hand. Thank you, Lillian.
Much better.
Yes. Posture is so important because students and players spend so many hours with their instrument. So it needs to be comfortable and relaxed. The violin or violist should be able to support their instrument without their left hand. We're going to now use a viola and see how we do with the same thing with Lillian. So we're going to do the same process. I'm going to set it to her. She's going to raise her chin. She's going to drop it in there, and we're going to let it go. Now we're going to do the same movement so you can see how it fits. The things I like here, look how her back is straight. She can actually smile. I don't see any tension related to that. And she can hold this with just the fulcrum effect, the fulcrum point being in here. Thank you, Lillian. And here's Lillian again. so we can show how this works in a seated position. The seated player should be on the front half of the chair. But she's going to do the same format that we've been doing. So I'm going to set it into here. She's going to lift her chin and drop it into place. And then we'll let it come like that. Now, how's that feel?
Seems like it's sliding forward just a little bit.
Okay, now this is lift again, and we'll reset. How's that? There you go. So now she can just turn a little bit, like she'd be watching a conductor. And there you have the seated playing posture with the violin. Thank you, Lillian. All right, now we're going to talk about how to fit a cello to a student. There are some contact points. One, obviously the in pin to the floor, somewhere in the knees, and somewhere in the chest, in the sternum or the chest bone. So, historically, before they had in pins, the players just wrapped their legs around the bottom bouts of the instrument. Well, it's amazing how much that actually sets the playing posture. My legs are in contact, my chest is in contact, we're not in contact with the floor. One way to set the in pin is at this point to loosen the in pin, let it hit the floor, tighten the in pin, and voila, we're pretty much there. Now, not everyone has as long legs as I do, and small children don't, but I bet Lillian can do this. All right, it's essential for the cellist to be in the front half of the chair. So if we got her there. Now I'm going to place this instrument to her and ask her to open her legs a little bit and actually, you don't need to do with your hands or anything at this point yet. Now take your knees and your legs and try to wrap your feet into the cello. So her feet are on the floor. There you go.
Okay.
And just kind of support it with your legs.
Oh.
Now if you can use your hand to help hold it in there. All right, this needs to go a little higher. There you go, now wrap, there you go. Now I'm going to take this in pin and just lower the in pin. And we let go, we have a siren to announce that we did it correctly. This looks pretty good at this point. Thank you. For the bass, I start with asking the student to put the arm, put their arm this way and then bring the bass to them. From here, I can see whether the height is approximately correct. Just in general, the nut should be somewhere between the eyebrow and the hairline. So that's a quick reference point. Now, by putting my left foot behind the in pin and bringing it in this way, we can now see what we are with the setup. So there's almost like what I would call a capital letter A. I bring the bass in and I sleep into it like we have this kind of a motion. Okay? Now we'll bring Lillian in and give it a try. All right, so Lillian's a different height than I am. I'm going to take a guess and see how we do. If you hold this with your left hand and place your foot behind, directly kind of behind the left in pin. All right, now actually back up so your arm is straight. Now bring it to you and tilt it, lean into it, and you, all right. Now if you'll just take your left hand and just drape it over the body of the instrument, there you go. I'll back up and see what we got. She looks like a bass player. Thank you. Now to wrap up and talk about how I did this within a school group classroom, a typical middle school classroom review session on playing posture. What I had was an orchestra salute. So the violins and violas would do something like this. They would stand, they'd have to put their finger here on the button, turn, set it on their shoulder, and then line up their head, and then just briefly drop their left hand. Their hands will be free. Now we can do this in the seated position. From here, we have an orchestra salute, finger on the button in the end, we turn, set it high on the shoulder, point your nose to the scroll, we have the posture set. Now I'll move to the cello. The cello's a little different. It's a little simpler in the sense of that orchestra salute, but one of the things that you can do, they're on the front half of the chair. You put the cello out straight out with your left arm, there's your salute. Bring it into your body, line up your feet, your knees, your chest, and the end pin. You have the position for cello. With the bass, here's our orchestra salute. We get to review some of these basics. Again, I straight arm, my left foot behind the end pin. I lean forward, the bass comes to me. There might be a slight adjustment. We have the bass position. That's our orchestra salute for playing postures. Thank you for watching our first video. Please stay tuned for more from Global Strings Alliance.